Happy Sunday, everyone. It's officially game week. We play the Vanderbilt Commodores on Saturday, 11 a.m. local time if you're heading down to Nashville, noon Eastern. And since it's officially game week, we got to bring in the big dogs. I'm laughing. I'm laughing to even think I have to do an introduction here. If you're a Hokie fan, you know Coach Bud Foster, Hokie legend, defensive coordinator legend, college football legend. Coach, how are you? So good to see you.
I'm great. You had to maybe curtail my Sunday afternoon just because I wanted to be present, for this show. So I really took it easy today as far as my lake time and my usual antics, on the lake. But no, it's great to be on the show. I appreciate you guys. Pat Rich, appreciate you guys. It's football season, man. I'm excited. We've had a little bit of coolness in the weather here in Blacksburg this past week. Now, I know it's getting ready to get hot, and I think that's great because Nashville is supposed to be hot. So that'll be good for the young men to get acclimated. And Brent's been, Coach Price had him up on the band field a few times where there's no shade or anything. It's on that AstroTurf out in the sun and trying to get them acclimated to that. But no, I'm excited. I'm looking forward to this game. And I'm looking forward to watching this team. I know they've worked extremely hard this offseason, but I'm anxious to see now. We got to transfer all that body of work and what they did in spring practice, what they've done in the summer, and what they've done in fall camp. Now we got to transfer that, underneath the lights, and when we kick it off at 11 o'clock Central Time in Nashville.
There we go. I'm appreciative, and I speak for everyone at Sons of Saturday. We love having you on. We love talking Hokie football with you, Coach. So appreciate the time, and we'll get into the lake time. Want to hear a little bit about your summer, but first of all, as we do, we kick off things with a Hokie haiku. We actually got 2 submissions this week. One from Pete McGee, fostering greatness, Hokies culture back on top, Pail mentality, and then from Skyhawk, he says, greatest of all time, godfather of the lunch pail, Bud freaking Foster. Coach, that being said, we heard about a little bit of travel. You got to go to Croatia. How was Croatia?
That's the first time I'd been to Europe. I'm one of those guys. I've been to a lot of places from recruiting standpoint, but you've not seen anything. I've seen an airport, I've seen a hotel room, I've seen a high school locker room, I've seen a practice field, I've seen game fields, I've seen a lot of stadiums, seen a lot of buses, a lot of plane seats. But you're just in and out, and even in recruiting, it's not like you have a lot of time to go out and bounce around and sightsee. So, now in the few years that I've been away from it, it's been fun to be able to do some traveling. My wife's been great about setting things up because my body, I'm still got this clock in me that when it's spring ball, I'm ready to go. And about the middle of July, I'm a little edgy, and she's like, hey, you're not coaching anymore, and I'm not one of your players, So, but no, we got a chance to go to Europe for the first time, or for me anyway. And man, it was awesome. We went to actually where the Georgia Tech and Florida State played. You guys probably saw some of them. They showed the Temple Bar. I was down there having some Guinness and some Irish whiskey and some good things in the end of April. But Croatia was awesome as well. I've never been, like I said, to anywhere over there. It's the Mediterranean. People say they've been there and who have traveled to Italy say it's very similar. Temperature-wise, the wine was outstanding. I tried it all. I tested to see if, they always talk about the tannins and the preservatives. It's so much better over there than here in the States. And I tested all that. I didn't wake up with a hangover or headache one day because I tried it. But now it was just the people were great. The food was amazing. And the history was just incredible. We stayed the first night in a place that was 300 AD. It was a Roman palace. And, it's kind of a compound. It wasn't just like we got to stay in that, but there was several kind of hotel rooms and things in that, that building, that area. And, but that whole structure was built, by a Roman emperor, and it was in 300 AD. So that, that's the stuff that, they blend the old with the new over there, and that to me was so cool to see, and just the history. And we ended up we sailed. We were there for a week on land, and then we sailed on a catamaran. There was 4 couples that went, and we were the crew. We had one captain, and then we were the crew. But we island hopped for a week, and then ended up down in Dubrovnik, which, if people are Game of Thrones fans, Dubrovnik is where they filmed a bunch of Game of Thrones. So that was really pretty cool too. Just the architecture and the history and all that. But it wasn't a bunch of beaches. It was just some old fishing villages and a lot of rocks and mountains, but it was beautiful in its own way. A lot of wineries or vineyards, and a lot of olive oil, just a lot of, things of that nature that you don't see around here, maybe in California, but you don't see, out this way as much. But yeah, just beautiful. I recommend it. Right now, I think Croatia, is under Yugoslavia rule for a long, long time. And in the last 20 years, they've been, open their borders, and it is starting to get really popular. And particularly that shoreline. And you're starting to see more cruise ships starting to enter the harbors and things of that nature. And I think we went at a good time. I think because another 5 to 10 years, I think it's going to be blown up like some of the places I think in Italy are.
Well, Coach, this is Rich Luttenberger, by the way. Pat, I understand. I know that, but for the listeners at home, it's all right. You're talking about your summertime here. That's a spectacular trip. How about the rest of your summer? What do you like to do? And, how often are you at the lake? You said you're there now. Are you still wakeboarding? What are your typical summer activities?
Yeah, well, we're at the lake quite a bit. My wife's on city council here, and we have a house in Radford. When I got remarried here about 5.5 years ago, and Jesse's on city council when we met. And so she has to have residency. Radford's its own city, and my lake place is in Pulaski County. So when we got married, everybody started talking about, well, she doesn't even live in the city, So we stay part-time and majority of the time during the school year, so to speak, once football season starts. We come around, 1st of May till, all into August, we're at the lake. Now we're only 20 minutes away. But it's still like being 20 states away when you go. That's my happy place. I've had this particular house that we have down there for 23 years. And, but yeah, we spent a lot. It's been a great summer because it was a lot hot. We didn't get a lot of rain, which we needed some, but that makes the water just perfect to swim in. To be honest with you, I haven't done much, wake surfing. I started getting into that. But I've been down in the hip a little bit. So, I guess that's part of AGE. I turned 65 this summer, and I like driving. I like doing all that stuff. I like swimming. I like digging in the cooler and getting me a good cold adult beverage. I tell you, we had a great time, and we had the family down quite a bit, my children and my grandkids, and we had several people come visit, which that's what it's all about. And we've got a great little stretch. We're in this area called Little Withville in Draper, Virginia. People on the lake know where that area is, but we got a really cool little community and really close group. And so we have a great time. We have a great time. I was down there today, but like I said, I was just kind of piddling around and I was behaving myself because I wanted to be my best version of myself to be with you guys today.
There we go.
Well, thank you.
I love it, Coach. Well, Blake time is the best time, but it is football time, and you're very much well known for the lunch pail, obviously here. So you could see Rich's hat with the win emblem on there. The lunch, even the Fear of the Pail shirt.
I love it. And I don't know, not to interrupt you, Pat. I don't know if Rich has even probably told you. He gave me your grandfather's lunch pail, right, Rich?
My father.
No, your father.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, and I still have that here at my house. I don't have it in my office, but I still have it. And Rich would come by. I don't know if it wasn't every year, but it's about every other year, maybe 2 years. But he would come by and I would show him where that lunch pail was in my office up on the shelf. And because I had several that gave me that but that one was special, because I know what it meant to him. And for him to, offer me that, was incredible. And so thank you, Rich. And, I know that meant a lot to you, and I can tell you it means a lot to me, but sorry about that. I just had to make sure, I know that was important for him.
Yeah, that was a good one. That was, my dad was a New York City plumber for 40 years or so. And that was a pail that had a Stars and Stripes emblem or painting on it. And that was right after the tragedy in 2007, thinking that, hey, if you want to use it, we would be America's sentimental team. So, it was a treat, very special to see that every time, I stop by. Thank you, Coach.
Yeah.
I know Clark Ruland, he creates lunch pails and sends them out as gifts. And I know some people buy them from him. I have one, over here in the den. So, a lot of good sentimental value. As Rich has one right behind him too.
Homemade and signed by big man.
Well, the cool thing is Coach Pry brought that back. They kind of, when they retired it, so to speak, along with me, after the 19 season, and just kind of went a different model with Fuente. And I get that sometimes maybe wanting to separate, but there is certain cultures, within certain traditions and programs, you shouldn't try to change cultures. And we had a good culture. We just, and how it was with, my feeling was with Coach Beamer was, there was still a good culture. We still had some things. People were recruiting against his age a little bit, but the pilot light was still flickering. We just need to, amp it up a little bit more. And Justin was able to do that early. But then for whatever, COVID hit, he wasn't recruiting the state of Virginia at the time. They kind of got away from the lunch pail a little bit. And, it started slowly disintegrating, and I think a big part of that was we just didn't recruit Virginia kids. And when the portal came in, and particularly after COVID hit, people didn't know what was going to happen. Were we ever going to play again? We were going to live again. We were going to be able to, there was so much going on emotionally, mentally, and besides physically, how people were being challenged with, the pandemic coming through. But then, because we didn't have the majority of our roster is Virginia kids, they all departed, and that's the one thing I know. When Brent first came to me, when he took the job, he came to me and said, Bud, what do we need to do? I said, well, Brent, this place, and you're going to be a great fit, but we got to get back and recruit the state of Virginia. And it's not just recruiting the players that you're going to recruit that, but you got to recruit, you got to get in and you got to know the principal, the guidance counselors, the athletic directors, you got to know those people who are, going to be around the student athletes on a regular basis, because in the end of the day, they may not tell a kid where to go, but if they know who you are and that you're good people, they can at least say that to their family or to that, that young man that, hey, I know those people treat you right, and they'll put you they'll have your best interest at heart, and they'll put you in a position to be successful. And that's what you want. And that's what Brent and his staff are doing right now. And you're starting to see the result of it, and obviously we've fit some pieces with the portal, but he's not wanting to build it just by portal alone. We've got enough talent in this state that, and we've proven that before, that if you keep them at home, we can compete for a national championship and be a perennial top 10 football team. And that's his goal and their staff's goal. And but they're doing it with Virginia kids and building that foundation. And then, like they did this year, we were able to recruit, keep everybody at home. And I do think this. I think now more than ever, this is a relationship driven. It's always been a relationship driven business, but I think more than ever, it's that now, as far as open communication. And you're going to have some hard conversations with these kids nowadays because of the portal and playing time and what their value is and a lot of different things that are going on that I didn't have to deal with. But you have to have some tough conversations. And those kids just need to know, they all think they're here, but most of them are right here. And they need to know that they've got to do this, this, and this to get to there. And Brent's been good about doing that and explaining that and being that transparent in both ways. He's a good listener besides being a great motivator and leader. He's kept the most people in the country, and that goes back to relationship driven. But he's done a good job with the portal. We lost, 3 defensive linemen, really good interior guys for us that are all in NFL camps right now. Still hope they can survive. If not, hope they can make a practice squad. But we replaced them with 3 good guys, and we've been able to do that and pick our spots. But at the same time, we're building it, from within the state of Virginia and building that foundation with kids that really care about this place. And we always said this: we'll take ours and beat theirs. And that's kind of how Brent's going. We're going to take the ones that want to come to Virginia Tech. We're going to coach them up. We're going to develop them. We're going to be prepared. We're going to outwork them. And then, then we're going to go take ours and beat theirs. So that's kind of his mentality. And you're seeing that in their body of work.
I'm fired up about the lunch pail being back, and, you really can see it. And speaking of the lunch pail, and, I want to hear a little bit about things that are going on behind the scenes with your foundation.
Okay.
The Lunch Pail Defense Foundation, chatting with Christina Daves. I know Nick Cullen, they've been really helpful, but I want to hear from the man himself with regards to the Lunch Pail Defense Foundation and how it's serving the New River Valley.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you asking about that, because I'm really proud of that. We've had it since 2009. I had a gentleman, Jim Tynan, ran it for me. Jim's a really good man. He was retired from Nationwide, and Jim just stepped down, here about, maybe 9 months ago or so. And he just, he's getting old, and just, it takes some time and that type of thing. But I had Jeff Mitchell had reached out to me, and Jeff's an attorney in town, a Hokie. And he said, "Hey, look, we can't let the brand of the lunch pail die down, and Coach Price brought it back. He's asked you to bring it back. That's been, that was public knowledge. And said, but we got to keep the brand. We got to keep the trademark. I had the trademark of, of this win logo and the lunch pail and all that. But basically what we did with the foundation is, when I started, it was really just targeting kids in the New River Valley. We created scholarships for students in the New River Valley. They could go anywhere, wherever they want. It was a one-time scholarship. We gave roughly about $25,000 a year. And then we gave to ACE program, which is New River Community College. Any students can go to NRCC, but they have to maintain a certain GPA. They have to do a minimum 100 hours of community service. And if they do the right thing, then they can go to any 4-year institution in the Commonwealth of Virginia. And that's really targeting kids in just the New River Valley, Pulaski County, Giles County, Roanoke, Wytheville, Wythe County, that type of thing. And but there, in this area, you guys have been around here. That's important. There's families that some kids may not get an opportunity to go to school if they didn't have this opportunity. So we kind of got away from doing the individual scholarships and really just zeroed in on the ACE program. And they do such a wonderful job with this, kids in this area. And I've had a chance to be around them for several years, and a big supporter, and get a chance to speak to different groups with them. And just, it's amazing and really cool to see how these young people have gone on and better themselves and put themselves in great position to be successful. Along those lines, we at the time gave to Duke Medical. Like Jim Tynan, the guy that was my former director, he had to have a transplant, and he did it at Duke Medical. And that's a place where you have extended stay. When you have he was a thoracic transplant patient. So when you do that, you're going to be hospitalized anywhere from 6 to 9 months, but really what we did is we supported the families of extended stay patients, and kind of like a Ronald McDonald House, so to speak. But that's really kind of what we did then. Now, since then, I've got this new board. It's Nick Cullen, Christina Daves, Kim Shanahan, Jeff Mitchell, Siobhan Dosky, some people that people know in the business, just rock stars in their own right. And they have a vision. We might have raised $60,000, $70,000 with my previous director. Right now, they're wanting to raise $500,000 to $1 million, and I look at them like, you're kidding me. But now we're sitting right now, I'm not going to say what our number is, but we're not close to that million or $500,000, but we're getting close to that $500,000. But, but what we've done, we're targeting 2 other areas. So we're still doing the ACE program, And then we're doing Virginia Tech Advantage. Virginia Tech Advantage is a fairly new program that really was, they kind of finalized everything the end of the fall semester, not this last semester, spring semester, but the fall semester. And that's with a couple things. It's students with insecurities. I think the marketplace that Mehul Sangani did that falls under that umbrella. But also we're going to look to endow a scholarship to help the internship program, as well as an emergency funds, because there's, if a student they may have a fire at their apartment, and they can, until the insurance or get whatever, they'll be able to have, emergency funds to, help the students. But we want to do, to support the internship program, because we get a lot of our students get offered internship opportunities. And, but some of them can't afford, if you go to, you're going to Manhattan or someplace like that, they're going to need some help a little bit. So we're trying to set up an endowment for them. And then we're partnering with, Kelly Woolwine with Life Ring. Kelly's daughter has been battling cancer. And the one thing we found is there's not, more adults have cancer than children, so there's a lot more resources for adults than there are children. And not very much here is offered for people in the New River Valley or Southwest Virginia. So Kelly's working with Carillion with his Life Ring Foundation to create a pediatric cancer wing at Carillion, and we're partnering with them to help funnel some money, that way too. So those are our three areas, the ACE program, not in any particular order, but the ACE program, Virginia Tech Advantage, and Life Ring. But the whole thing is Virginia Tech Advantage is Hokies helping Hokies. And then after that, it's helping young people, overcome obstacles or give them opportunities to, achieve success and reach the goals that they've set for themselves.
Coach, we talked about my hat and my shirt, so if I wanted more merch, lunch pail merch, and I want to help support the foundation, where can I get it? Because I've seen some social media posts. So where could I get merch, and what other ways could I possibly help if I'm a fan?
Yeah, but I'm glad you said that, because I that's a good way so I can finish up with that. You can find us on lunchpaildefense.org. Again, that's lunchpaildefense.org. We are we have a shop in there, and we work with Southwest Virginia, apparel what they're doing with the win stuff. And you can see that on there, but we've got shirts, jerseys, pullovers, 3/4 zip pullovers. We've got some, tumblers and things of that nature. But, all those proceeds will go to the foundation. And, but you can find that on there, and it's some really good stuff. I will say this, because we are having a golf tournament in Richmond at the Hermitage, and that's going to be on the 30th of September, which is a Monday. It's coming off of, which I'm not for sure what game. We're getting ready to go to San Francisco, so I can't remember. Maybe we're coming off of Rutgers. No,
I think it's
Miami. Excuse me. It's Miami. But we have only a couple spots left. But we've got we're playing the two golf courses at Hermitage. I think we've got 42 teams right now. We're looking at 44. We could go as high as 48. But we've got several former players that are going to play like the par threes. We've got James Anderson, who was, a former great, that he's a long drive champion. So he's going to be, you got a chance to let him drive for you. But we're going to have like Ken Oxendine, Brian Randall. I'm hoping Eddie Royal can make it. We're trying to look at his schedule, but we've got Brian Still. We've got a bunch of guys, Bruce Taylor, Blake DeChristopher, Jimmy Martin, we got a bunch of guys coming back. Danny Cole, he can talk about making that catch that he did catch it and had it cupped right. And, but we're going to have a great group. And, and it's, again, that's going towards the foundation. And we're not doing we've got some really cool prizes, as far as auction items. We're not doing many because the tournament costs $3,000 a team. But we're going to have a couple. We got a Halo Hokie lunch pail. We've got a VIP pit pass for 6 people for the Martinsville race, which is the one just before the championship. And then with Matt Hagan here, local, he's an NHRA world champion funny car driver, and we're going to have an experience with him as well. So we got a couple really cool, items that I think some great auction items that will help the cause as well. But it'll be a lot of fun. But thank you guys for letting me, make a shout out about the foundation, because we're doing great things. I've got great leadership, and we've had a great support so far. And I can't thank everybody enough for, jumping on board with us and being supportive, because it's really going to help a lot of young people achieve some really special things.
Absolutely. You got some rock stars behind you, Coach, and really excited to see some pictures from that event at Hermitage later in September. You got a Southwest Virginia shop doing the merchandise. Shout out to Jason and those guys who do a tremendous job. And I know there's also the vodka. We got to hear about the Win Vodka.
Oh yeah, I got to throw. I forgot you said that. We actually were at the the University Club in Blacksburg asked me to come and be a part of. They're doing a relaunch. They've got changed. I guess somebody bought them out, but it's still that club core concept. Yep. They can, and I think it's outstanding. The university clubs, if you're not a member, you guys need to look into that, and anybody that your listeners, but no, we actually, they put our Win Vodka, which is just off the like what Rich has on his head. We've got a couple of friends of mine. One of them's a mad scientist. He's been working on this forever. He's over at Radford University, and really an intelligent guy, and been working on this for years. And so he created a vodka, and I was a beer drinker in my younger days, and now probably the last 10, 12, 14 years, if I'm going to day drink, I was drinking Tito's, and I'll say that right now. And so that was my deal. And to be honest with you, all my friends here about the same. But they wanted to create this guy, Charlie Cosmato. It's River City Distillery in Radford. And they're ABC legal. They got everything documented. They're not in stores yet because they have to go in front of the board, but they've been approved, and they have their own building that they can sell. It's an ABC store, so to speak. Yeah, I mean, it's just like it's 7 times distilled, and they filter it 2 more times. And I did, and several of us did a blind taste test. We did Tito's, we did Absolute, we did Grey Goose, all top shelf vodkas. And you don't think about drinking vodka by itself like you do bourbon. At least I don't. But we sipped a little bit of each one. And the very first one I took, it was like, oh my God, that's like rubbing alcohol. I said, I hope that's not Win Vodka. And but we went on through, and there was one that was, man, this was really pretty good, and I'm thinking that might be Tito's. And long story short, they all sucked except for the Win Vodka. I mean, it has a little bit of sweetness to it. And, we worked with University Club. They put it in their bar, and the bartenders made a statement yesterday that they like it better than Tito's, and it mixes better than Tito's. And I will say this, $1 of the bottles we sell, I don't get any money. I'm not an investor, but I will say this, that I wouldn't put the lunch pail, and that's what it's got, the lunch pail with the Win logo on it. And that I wouldn't put, our brand, and I say ours, I'm talking because I'm thinking this is the Hokie brand. I wouldn't put our brand on something that wasn't the very best. You know what I mean? And we want it to grow local, just like our football team. And then let's go national. Let's go be the best. And that's our mindset with this Win Vodka. It's a great logo. I've got a bottle here somewhere. It's downstairs, but it's hey, Hokies, enjoy your win. It's easy to hold that bottle up, but it can go worldwide or nation. Hey, Oklahoma Sooners, enjoy your win, whatever. But it's going to be too easy. We need to get somebody like Mehul Singani, who's working right now with Benny's, to go, he wants them to go national. We need to get him to help us jump on board with some marketing, that type of thing, because it really is a great product. It really is. Now they're getting ready to do a bourbon. They're going to call it Gentleman's Journey, which they want it to be competitive with Blanton's, and which is, that's a high standard bourbon. And we're doing a final taste test tomorrow, and they're kicking that off. They're doing their grand opening at their new tasting room in like their ABC store. It's in Radford on Main Street, West Main. But they're doing it September 5th, that Thursday night before the Marshall game. But hopefully there's going to be a bunch of Win Vodka around the stadium on game day as well. We're trying to work on that. But man, it's a really good product. And but like I said, $1 of the bottle goes to the foundation, which is really cool. Good friends of mine, but like I said, Charlie Cosmato, he's the guy behind it. He's like the mad scientist. You got to have a chemist behind all this stuff, but he makes it work. And the water here, I understand, in Southwest Virginia is some of the best in our country, and that's what makes a good vodka. And so I guess that's making this thing work because it's really, really good.
Love it. Rich, you want to kick us off? We can kind of talk about the 2024 campaign, talk about summer, and get into it here.
Yeah, so Coach, we want to shift over to the 2024 team.
Sure.
So, you touched on a little bit about the expectations and the excitement, but in your job, you speak to a lot of former players. What seems to be the common thread from your conversations with those guys about, how they're feeling about Coach Pry and the program right now? What's the feedback you're hearing?
Well, the feedback from the former players and the people that, been around the program is nothing but good things. I mean, I've been around, this program. There's only been 2 coaches in the last, 3 now in the last 38 years. There's one for a long time, for 30, whatever he would coach was here 29 years. But what you're hearing from the former players is that Brent, number one, is very open. He's very receptive to them coming back. Not that Justin wasn't. Justin was a little more of an introvert. It's that way than Brent. Brent, to me, they say he reminds him a lot of Coach Beamer. And Brent was, when I started as a coordinator in 95, he was my graduate assistant for 3 years. He gets the football's football, and he's earned this with his body of work and where he's been and what he's done and his accomplishments. He's been around some really outstanding coaches, and he's put bits and pieces from all of them and created his own way of how he sees he wants to do things. And it's a great fit here. Personality-wise, he's a great fit. I mean, he's personable, he's approachable. And I do onboarding with new staff members in the athletic department. And that's what I told his staff. I said, hey, look, they put coaches on a pedestal here, particularly football coaches. And you're going to be out to eat, and you're going to have a fork about halfway in your mouth. And, somebody's going to come up, a guy, a gal, and they're going to have one of their kids with them, say, hey, do you mind if you take a picture, with my daughter or my son, or, hey, how's the team going to be? And I said, you know what? We're in a hard enough business as it is. They're starving for success, and they want you to be successful. But you also, as a coach, we know our livelihood's crazy when your livelihood depends on the decision of 18 to 22-year-olds. But so not every day is going to be the way you want it to be, but when you're having those rough days, maybe because of you show you care about them, they're going to continue to care about you in some difficult times. And that's, where I think, everybody feels, former players, people within the community, that, and you guys see that too. You've been around him enough to see how he handles the media, how he's just, he knows certain people got jobs to do. You're going to treat them all with dignity and respect. And when you do that, people are going to get behind you, and then they're going to stay behind you if you're battling through a little bit of tough time, like they did with us over various times in our career. But, you have a way of coming out of it when you're good people and people see that you're doing it the right way and you treat people right. Not just your players, but the people within the community and the Hokie Nation. And we're a unique group because we want you to be approachable. I'm talking as a coach and that's part of this, the Hokie culture, not just football, it's the Hokie culture. And Brent really identifies with that. And he's been very open to have the players back, and he wants them back. And not that Justin didn't, I will say this on Justin's behalf. Justin really, when we left with Coach Beamer, like Coach Price's staff, he's got like 58 people on his staff. I think we might have had 20 at our most when under Coach Beamer. And Coach Fuente, we probably had, 35. He saw that vision that we needed, more support staff, more recruiting staff, more development. We need to get more analytics and things of that nature. And, Brent's just taken that part of the baton and we've grown it. And, but how he treats people around is a little bit different. And that's made a big difference, I think. And it's a big part of just the enthusiasm around the program.
Absolutely. And I think there's a lot of enthusiasm around the program. And, for the first time in a long time, it does seem that, we're going to be back in those winning ways that we had, when you were leading the defense, but also, the second half of last season where we had a lot of positive momentum. But you're looking at this season, we put this out on Twitter earlier this afternoon. We said we wanted to ask you this, Coach.
Okay.
Over the past 25 years, are there any teams that come to mind that are kind of comparable to this team going into the year?
I saw that when I just happened to glance through some stuff, and I saw that, and it made me think. So you posted some pictures of some different teams. Probably when I think back now, they've got to do their body of work, and I'm going to say this: the expectations are high. But we got to take it one game at a time. We went 7-6. We finished strong. We're still picked sixth in the league, I think, which as a coach, I love that. I mean, I'm building on that. I'm working on that. We're not getting any respect. Now, yeah, there's a certain hype because we should be much better. But at the same time, we haven't proven anything yet. Yeah, we won a bowl game. Great. We want to, and we beat a good Tulane team. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying not what we accomplished, but that's behind us now. They need to be talking about us at the end of the year. And I know that's what Coach Price is selling right now. And I mean, we open up and against an SEC school that, their whole roster has changed. And, everybody talks about, Vandy's a bottom feeder, but I will say this, their whole offense is going to be who you're looking at from a year ago film wise is not the same cat. They're bringing the quarterback in from New Mexico State. They brought in the New Mexico State offensive staff. Jerry Kill, who, was on our staff, who I've known Jerry forever, one of the great college football coaches in my time and one of the tough guys in the business. And I can tell you this, Vanderbilt's is going to be a formidable opponent. Everybody thinks we're just going to waltz in there and get after their tail. We've got to go play our best football. And we're going to have to do it for 12 straight weeks or 12 times. Two of the next three games we play were teams that beat us last year. Now they were on the road, but, in Rutgers and Marshall, they're not going to be intimidated by us. And both of those programs I saw in the crystal ball thing, like we could be winning. I saw where we could be 12-0 or we could be 8-4, but those two programs are about the same. I saw they could be 10-2 and about 8-4 was about what they, so those are going to be two good programs. Then we got to go to ODU, and that's a trap game, and they're going to play like the Green Bay Packers, for one game, and we just got to go play our best football. But it's regardless of that, it's one game at a time, 1 week at a time, and we got to do a great job in adjustments and things like that. But I'm excited about this team, but we can't. It's not about the destination, it's the journey, and the journey starts next Saturday, and we just got to approach it one play at a time, one quarter at a time, one game at a time. And if we get beyond that and start thinking we're better than we are, then that's, about the time you start. My dad always told me this, and I've always told that to the kids here, about the time you start feeling good about yourself is when you're going to get your tail knocked off. And we don't need to feel good about ourselves other than, and I'll say this, I always liked this, and I wanted to feel good about ourselves. I mean, I did, but I didn't want to say it publicly. I wanted us to have a chip on our shoulder because nobody's giving you respect. I mean, the media people are, but I promise you, they're saying, "Oh, well, these guys were just 7-6 last year. They were a 6-6 football team. And there's a lot of hype. But you got to go earn respect. from everybody. You need to respect them. But hey, I'm using this as we have to go earn it every time. We haven't done anything yet, even though, like I said, I'm cautiously optimistic about this team. And I've said that about a lot of teams that, I had coached going into the season when we had a big hype. But we have to go do it on the field. We can't assume it's going to happen. We got to go make it happen. And I know that's what Brent's telling these guys, but I will say this. That's what I've seen in their body of work in spring practice, throughout the summer in the weight room. And, I've seen 7 or 8 practices here this fall. And I just like what I see. I like the energy. I like the camaraderie. There's an enthusiasm and a self-confidence I see now that I haven't probably seen here since 2019.
So you talk about having to go out and prove it, and there's talk, and, talk is cheap. You said the energy reminds you of 2019. What about, let's look just at the defense, in terms of potential sacks and turnovers and, the new guys coming in. Are there any past defenses that come to mind when you look at this roster, this defense?
It's hard to say till they play, Rich. You know what I mean? Yeah. I like the talent they're putting together. I like their development, what I've seen. What I was going to say, the team that it probably reminds me of, now in a reverse order, in 1997, we started strong and finished bad, and played against a really good North Carolina team in the Gator Bowl that had a bunch of first-round draft picks and all that. But we had a good group coming back. But they were young and inexperienced in that 97 team because we just coming off, 95 and 96. We've gone to back-to-back Big East. We had some really good talent and Big East championships and, won the Sugar Bowl and played in the Orange Bowl. And really started off strong that year. But this team may remind me of that group. There's some really talented group that really you saw bits and pieces of really excellence. But now where it's got to be consistent. It can't just be one every other game, or, a few times a game. It's got to be every play, every game. That consistency and that's what we did. We turned that group into 1998 and we went 9-3. Really we lost 3 tough heartbreakers in 98. But I tell you what that team did after every one of those losses, we rebounded and then beat a really good Alabama team. We were 8-3, they were 9-2, and beat them in the inaugural Music City Bowl in Nashville. But they might remind me of that group if I had to pick one, because you see talent there. You see that there was the talent last year, but you just saw them gel at the end of the year, which is where you want them to. And now that's where I see that self-confidence. I see that this group has that. They know they've done it and they can do it. Now we've got to be consistently good at doing it all the time. And that's what separates an average team to a good team. Or if you want to be a great team, you got to do it all the time. Now you got to stay healthy, and there's some factors that go along with that. But I would say, and I don't know if I can compare it to a defense yet, because it goes on their body of work. But I do like the new addition with our defensive guys. I like what we've done, helped ourselves inside. You see some guys on the edge, you got APR, but you see some other younger guys on the edge getting better. I love our secondary. I really do. We've got some athletic kids. I love our corners. And for me, that's where it started. We need to be good up front, but we need to have 2 good corners, and because you can do a lot of good, different things. You can put those guys on an island a little bit and crowd the ball and do some, things in that way. And besides do some, pressure a little bit. But, and then I like the Brumfield kid. I think he's going to be he reminds me of Rayshard Ashby a little bit, one of those really, or Andrew Matua-Pawaka, just a steady guy that's a good finisher, and a good leader. And, he's got a nose for the football. I don't know if he's Vince Hall. Vince Hall was really special, but I thought Andrew Matua-Pawaka and Rayshard Ashby were 2 great college linebackers. And I think this kid has a chance to be that. We need that guy inside. I think we've missed that inside here the last couple of years.
I'm laughing, Coach, because Rich and I we have a bunch of questions written down, for you, and it's like what question is coming next. We're gonna ask about some sleepers. We're gonna ask about Brumfield. We're gonna ask about the Music City Bowl in '98. It's just check, check, check. I know Rich is an English teacher. It's like he gave you the answer key to the test.
Well, that's a good sign that we're but this is easy stuff, man. You know what I mean? I'm still in it. And, like I said, I do a radio show, during the week and a podcast, and we talk a lot of ball, and, we talk a lot of Hokie football, and, and being around these guys, it's fun to, they really are very respectful to me. Coach Price asked me to speak in front of the team a couple times. So it's really cool to the interaction that these young men have towards me and I have with them. And that makes it pretty cool.
That's fantastic. Rich, you want to knock out the last one in this section? And then
because you're kind of answering some of the questions. And one of them was from my friend Steve Moskal. He wanted to ask about some of those guys. You mentioned some of the guys who came in, through the portal. His question is, what are your thoughts on some of them? But I'm also going to combine that with a question. There's going to be a lot of competition for guys to hold that lunch pail from week to week. So who do you see, what's it going to take from these guys? Who are some of the guys that you see now might have an early edge to say, you know what, I'm going to be that lunch pail guy, that Darryl Tapp who keeps it for the whole season, or, just those kinds of guys, and touch on some of those new guys too.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, number one, which is really pretty cool. These guys, when they get the lunch pail, when they earn it, they come to me. They let me know. I mean, hey, Coach, I got the lunch pail this week, and that makes me feel good, but it also, they understand the tradition and then the expectations here. They know that this place is, you in order to win and win consistently, yeah, you got to score more points than the others, but you got to play good defense, or you got to be able to make the stops when you need to make the stops. And that's where I saw us get better, towards the end of last year as well. Defensively, we started to gel, and that goes hand in hand. When you see an offensive unit that starts to move the football, it doesn't feel like you have to be perfect all the time. And even though that's our expectations, but you see an offense that can generate some things. That just lets you play a little looser, and you can pin your ears back and go. You're not as tight sometimes, and but the guy who has had the lunch pail all summer and all camp. Now I'll be curious to see if they awarded it to anybody for the first game. Different is Cole Nelson, the defensive end, and he earned it from the spring, and he had it all summer, and he saw me just before he left for. They had like a 2-week break before they came back from, spring semester to summer school and summer practice, or, summer workouts. And he made a point to come by and show me that he had the pail. And now I see him in the weight room all the time. He's got it with him, so I'm just assuming he will have it going into game one, because he is the guy, I think, that sets the standard as far as their work ethic, great leadership. His motor's running all the time. He's a senior, so he's been around a little bit. He's been one of those guys that has endured and has trusted the process, but I see there's a bunch of guys that can earn that thing. I love, like I said, the interior guys. I love the Aeneas people, and I think we got a chance. We're twitchy inside. We got a couple big guys, inside, between, I like I said, the Brumfield and the linebackers, the way they're coming along. We got some longer kids that can run. Kelly Lawson was out. He lifted early, was out of spring ball, had surgery. But everybody knows he's long and athletic. There's a bunch of folks though on that, and that's what you want. You want a variety of people that can, earn that pail. Now I don't know how they are. I used to be. We'd give it out week to week, but there's sometimes. There was a guy that not that I was superstitious or anything, but if we were playing really, really well, and he was a great leader for us, and I didn't want to disrupt the cart sometimes, So, but there's a bunch of guys that I've really been impressed with, and they're going to play a lot of people. That they did it last year, and they're going to continue to do that. And that's when we're pretty good. I say that particularly up front. they're going to rotate those guys through. But I've been really impressed by the Copeland kid, by the Gilliam kid, by the Peebles kid. Those guys, interior wise, they're strong, they're twitchy, they can dent the line of scrimmage. And that's something that we've got to be really good inside and get some penetration. And if we can be disruptive there and chase and make the ball bounce, and we've got the speed to go chase it down, and I tell you, the kid that, to me, that's probably stuck out a little bit, because they were talking about, they knew the secondary. It was Dorian Strong. You had Mansour, had Jalen Stroman. Those were the three that, we got to keep Jalen's head up so he doesn't get kicked out of the game. We got to keep him in the game because he's a good player. But the kid that I've been impressed with in camp has been the Mosey Phillips kid. He's really made some nice plays, a couple nice picks. He's a big rangy safety that can come down and comes with a purpose. When you have that at that position, was kind of our rover spot, that boundary safety. But, those guys are your free hitters a lot. And, we expected them to be able to make good open field plays. And, that's what the game is now. It's matchups, and it's, putting athletes in space. But we've got the athletes in space, I think, that can go get it and finish the plays. And that's the exciting thing. So I think that's going to be, I hope there's competition to who's going to get the lunch pail week to week. I really do. And I think that will be the case.
Awesome. Coach, we're going to move into some rapid fire questions. So let's we'll give you questions. Give us, first answer that comes to mind, and we'll go through these kind of quickly. So we would never ask you to pick favorites. However, if you were in a fantasy football league and you were able to draft any Tech defense that you coached, which one would you draft and why? And keep in mind how fantasy football works. Defenses are rewarded for low yardage, low scoring, high turnovers, defensive scores. So which one comes to mind?
The 2006 group. I can't remember the exact numbers, but we gave up about 10 points a game. That was the year I won the Broyles Award. We were the 100th ranked defense or offense in the country, and we won 10 football games. That group right there, we had them for several years, but that group was, if we could have had them with Mike Vick or, some guys like that, I think we had a chance to, and even if the playoff system, if there had been 4 teams instead of 2, we'd have been a factor just because we were so dynamic on defense.
So it's a Saturday afternoon on Crater Lake. What playlist are you playing?
Oh man, I'm playing good old classic rock and blues, modern blues, man. I like J.J. Gray and some, just Marcus King Band, Kenny Wayne Shepherd, So that's my group.
So we know about your travels to Europe. Outside of Crater Lake, what is your favorite vacation destination?
Damn, Costa Rica. That's some easy. I got a brain fart right there, but Costa Rica. I've got Pura Vida on my arm right there. That means pure life, and life is good. That's what they always say, Pura Vida over there. But I've been over there several times. That was the one place I traveled quite a bit when I was coaching, when I had some free time.
Is Bud Foster a dog person or a cat person? And do you have either?
I have both, but I'm a dog person.
What kind of dog?
Well, I like the little dogs, to be honest with you. I really do, that I can carry around. We've got a Chinese crested right now. If you guys know, that's the hairless dog. They're kind of creepy and ugly looking, but this thing's the sweetest, good looking thing. And so she was actually with me at the lake. So she's my buddy.
I love it.
She's only about 8 pounds too. So
I had you pegged as a shepherd or a lab guy personally, but.
Well, my son had a bull mastiff, and that dog was the sweetest thing, and it loved to get into bed with me. But you talk about dead weight, man. That's, it hogged everything. So the little ones are so much easier to travel with, and I like the ones that don't shed any hair too. I don't like that. So
good point.
There you go. Super practical. I love it. So we got a couple last bonus questions and a couple of letters from the lunch pail, and then we'll let you get on your way, Coach. But we'll start with this one. About 25-year anniversary here of 1999. We got the 99 team, players and coaches coming back, and they're going to be honored during the home opener on September 7th versus Marshall. What are you looking forward most to that weekend?
I'm looking forward just to seeing the guys and hanging out with them. We're going to get together on the Friday night before. In my coaching time, a lot of guys came back, but when you're coaching, and I was at the hotel with the team all the time, and I didn't really, and I might see them for a minute. They'll come up and hug my neck, or I'd go out and see them on the sideline. I'd go hug their neck, but then you're back to work. And so I really didn't get the chance to spend the time with them that I would have liked to. And now that's the one thing I've been able to do. And when I was recruiting these guys, I told them it was a relationship for a lifetime, particularly the defensive guys. And that's it. And I hit them birthdays every morning. I know I hit them on their birthday in social media. If I've got it, I hit them, I text them. But I'm looking forward to that and spending great quality time with them. The hard part is I know there's going to be, not everybody can make it back. Some guys are coaching, some guys, they're raising their families, and kids are involved in sports and things of that nature. And I get that. But they'll be missed, but it'll be fun to chop up and tell some stories. But I'm looking forward to seeing guys from both sides of the ball. Cause I was a guy that, I had a great relationship with the other side of the ball, and some really great memories with some of those guys. So I'm looking forward to seeing everyone and hoping it's a great weekend.
I'm sure it will be. You mentioned stories. When we had Billy Height on the show a couple months ago, he told us a really good story about Brent Pry putting bubbles in his jacuzzi. So we're going to ask you, what's your favorite Brent Pry story from his time as your grad assistant, or at least one that you can share with us?
To be honest with you, I don't know if I can share that. Brent was young and single, and he enjoyed his time here at Virginia Tech. Let me just say that. And so I'm a young guy, and we'd all kind of live vicariously through Brent Pry so that's all I can say about that. But I will say this, I knew he was going to be an outstanding football coach. Just by, in our time here. Now, the one thing that Brent and we share a passion for is we love the Allman Brothers. As you guys know, Brent's probably told you that. And he would stay at my house or my lake house when he'd come back in the summertime to go see his family. They usually lived up in Pennsylvania, so he'd always come and stay a night or two. And that was back when you had cassettes and then it moved to CDs. It was after 8-track. Now I'm that old where you guys didn't probably use an 8-track, but I played 8 tracks. But then Brent would have his box of Allman. It was all just Allman Brothers. Now he might throw in a Government Mule or somebody different like that, but they were all offshoots of the Allman Brothers. But we'd sit around, we'd have a couple cold beverages and rock out to the Allman Brothers. So that was probably. I enjoyed that as much as anything with him, though.
I love it. Chantel Lovett says, I had the absolute pleasure of speaking with Bud for a little while at practice 2 weeks ago. I can tell you he was so humble, so approachable, and so kind. He truly is. Told him that I appreciate how down-to-earth he is at Coach Foster VT. Have I mentioned I love being a Hokie mama? So shout out to Chantel. I'm sure you guys love Chantel. I'm sure you guys love catching up.
Yeah, I tell you, I thought she was one of the student managers at the time. I mean, number one, what an extremely nice lady. But yeah, obviously she loves her son and he's doing some good things. But yeah, it was real pleasure to visit with her and I'm looking forward to. I see several of the families come around. They're very kind and to come up and say hello and introduce themselves, and that's the fun part for me. I really enjoy that part of it now.
Oh, it's the best. And then Eric Dehart says, if you can, tell Coach thank you for signing a Hokie flag that was gifted to me while I was in Iraq in 2006. What a year to get that flag, 2006.
Yeah.
I still have a challenge coin to give him for his gratitude. So, wanted to pass that message along as well.
Well, that's awesome. The cool thing about the lunch pail and, us having our the Corps and the military background here is I would have and that was when, Desert Storm and all that whole situation in Iraq was going on in Kuwait, and I had a nephew was in several of those conflicts, but I would have guys that were troop leaders would send me like their patches or send me pictures. And what I would do, and they would tell the story. And I had one guy that even gave a troop of the day a lunch pail. So, those are the things that are so cool that you realize you not only just make an impact with the kids on the field, but the kids on the field, they make an impact. They're playing for something a lot bigger than themselves. And I'd always read that to the team, to the unit, and then I would put that in the lunch pail. We put a variety of things in the lunch pail that, our mission statement, our goals, and, turf when we'd go on the road. We were the winningest team on the road in the ACC in our time frame there. And, and that was we wanted to make that our home. But, we put things of like that in there that people would send, that they were a part of our program too. And we wanted to acknowledge that. And like I said, we were playing for something a lot bigger than ourselves in majority of the time.
This question comes from VT Mike O. Who was the best player you ever coached against? He's guessing Larry Fitzgerald, but who would you say is one of the best player? I've forgotten all the guys we played against. So many good players. I mean, from Brett Favre. Just thinking the quarterbacks, Peyton Manning, Aaron Rodgers. My God, Matt Ryan. The guy and all the receivers. Pitt just themselves had Mr. Biletnikoff for about 3 years in a row or whatever it was. But, the Miami teams, the Florida State teams, we just played the who's who of college football in an era that was, who we were playing was really special teams. But the guy that I because he touched the ball all the time and we just had tremendous battles with, was Donovan McNabb. I just felt like he was the guy for me because he was the toughest guy to handle, not only just because he touched the ball every time, running it, throwing it. He was a physical ball carrier. He was heady. He was intelligent. He beat us on the last play of the game there in 98. And, and I remember that game, I actually, Kevin Rogers, who was on our staff, but Kevin was the offensive coordinator there. He let me go in and talk to Donovan after the game, and which was really pretty cool because I just wanted to tell him, hey, he was a pain in our tail, but I had the utmost respect for him. And we were 2-2, against him and really should have been 3-1, but he was just a great competitor. And, he was just hard to deal with because he, like you said, he had the ball in his hand every time. And, you had to deal with him every time. That's a tough memory, Coach. And I'm sure for you, it was way worse, but that was the play. I don't know if you could see it. I'm sure you read about it afterwards. He's on the sideline vomiting. Like, wasn't it during that final timeout?
Well, he threw up right in front of me. He came over the sideline and got tackled in front of me and threw up right at my feet. And it's like, dog, dude. Get out. Take a knee. Get out. Get out.
Because they had the ball like on the 2 or 3 yard line, and then Corey Moore busted in and sacked him, and then they called timeout in the last play of the game. And
well, what happened was Corey sacked him. They were out of timeouts, and Carl Bradley fell on him, and I thought it was a cheap call, but it stopped the clock. We had a timeout left. So they came out in formation. We only practiced this play that they run, their sprint out. They do it every, it's just a bunch of window dressing, but we have practiced every way they can do it, conceivably do it 100 times each. I'm not, exaggerating. We were so prepared for that play. And I called timeout and drew it up a couple different ways just in case they came out in a different formation because we didn't have enough, but they came out in the exact formation. We should have had our weak side outside linebacker should have been back there almost like a fair catch. It should have been just thrown to him. But for one unknown reason, he must have been on Syracuse payroll. He ran with this tight end who we had a corner. So we were double covering this tight end on the backside. So they delayed the tight end to come back, and he should have been sitting right there. But I will say this about that game. I think that's why I'm getting ready to have hip replacement. I've had knee replacement, and why I'm really bad in my shoulders and stuff, because I ran through the Carrier Dome doors 100 miles an hour. If anybody's been there, you almost like you're pushing a sled or pushing a vehicle because it's so air sealed. And I wanted to choke that guy so bad. I'm talking about our guy. and I ran into the room or our locker room, tried to hurt myself, but to calm down more than anything. But yeah, that was one of those that one stings today still. But those were the ones when you drew up what and that would have been a great win for us. We might have won the Big East, that year as well. So, but anyway, it is what it is. You learn. Those are lessons than they are losses, and luckily we won a lot more of those than we lost. And that was the good, but you know what? I was fortunate to be around. I was with Coach Bamer and then, with Coach Fuente. Those are the two guys I worked for, but I was able to be involved in over 300 wins, which was really cool. 230 as a coordinator. And luckily we only lost 92 as a coordinator. But I remember just a little bit of those 230, but I remember a lot of those damn 92s, man. I got a lot of scars from those 92s. I was not a good loser. And that was probably the conversation Coach Beamer and I would have. He'd call me in the office about Tuesday or Wednesday after a tough loss. Said, "Bud, you got to let that one go." I said, "I know, Coach. Because I just be a little grumpy around, and but I was still grinding, knowing that we were going to get over. But you just knew you had opportunities there to maybe, there's a couple games over the years that could be really difference makers for your season, And but that's part of it. That's why you strap it up and play. But that's why there's so many lessons that you learn, and our guys grew from a lot of those, and we became better, with some of that.
Going back up to the Dome in November, I believe it's November 2nd. Hokies play up at, which is they've renamed it the JMA Wireless Dome. I think the last year or two they renamed it. We haven't won up there since 2000, which is pretty crazy. But
I tell you what, that's for whatever reason, that's a tough place. It's a tough place to play, and they play really well there. And when McNabb was there, that place was rocking, and it's a pro kind of mentality. So it could be, but when Tech comes to town, that's kind of a little bit of a rivalry, and there's a history there. And so that's a big game. But we got to go up there and we got to play well because they've got a great home field advantage. It's loud in that place when they get rocking. And I think they got a chance to, they're going to be another team that's retooled and, you don't know, and they'll probably get better unless they have some injuries as the year goes along. But like I said, we can't look that far. We just got to go. We got to go to Vandy, then come back here and play. Marshall's going to be. They're not going to be intimidated by us. They beat us there, and they're going to think they can come down here and beat us again. They went up to Notre Dame and beat Notre Dame up in South Bend there, not too long ago. So they're with that staff they've got, so they're not intimidated by the environment or anything like that. So we just got to take it one at a time, man.
There we go. We got one more letter from the lunch pail from Billy Ray. He says, "Coach, you've been out of coaching for 5 years now. What do you miss the most, and what do you not miss at all?"
Yeah. I get that question quite a bit, and I'm looking forward to seeing Billy Ray. Billy was always one of my favorite guys because you talk about Mr. Personality, as you guys know. Every time I see, he must be y'all's ringleader. I'm not for sure though, Pat. I know you're right in the thick of it too, man. You guys got a great cohesive group and a chemistry, but Billy's one of my favorite people. What would say the question again?
Oh yeah, what do you miss the most, and what do you not miss about coaching?
What I miss the most is just the guys that I did love our staff room. Charlie Wiles, Jim Cavanaugh. I had different DB coaches from Torian Gray to Lorenzo Ward. We called him Whammy. Some of the guys remember Whammy. Lou West, but I missed Brian Mitchell here most recently, but I missed those guys. We spent so much time together. I miss the relationships of the players. And when you're with them on a day-to-day basis, you get to know them a lot. They're like your sons. It's true family, and I miss that. And I still. That's what I'm doing former player engagement now, and so I communicate with different guys at different times. I just had a great conversation with Ben Taylor just the other day. So it's great to catch up with. But I miss that part of it. And being a competitor, I miss certain games in the game day. But I don't miss right now. I don't miss the 16, 18, 20-hour days. During the season for me, I wouldn't leave the office. Went till Wednesday night. That was my final to finalize my game plan and do finishing touches, but I went back and went over every detail, and I wouldn't leave the office till 2-3 o'clock in the morning, and I'd be in there at 6 o'clock the day, on Wednesday morning, but wouldn't leave until 2 or 3 o'clock Wednesday night or Thursday morning. And luckily we didn't have to be in the office till 9 on Thursday morning. But so that was sleeping in. But I don't miss the grind. I really don't, that part of. And that's what caught up with me at the end of my career. I did it for 25 years, and I tried to do it as well as I could and as hard as I could and so we could be as prepared. And I always felt like the product I put on the field was a direct example of me, or it was and I wanted to make sure we were prepared, that we played with a high intensity, we were locked in, we played with emotion, and that's how I coached every day. Every day was game day, and so what you saw me on Saturday, it was how it was, Monday through Friday. And but I hope that's what the players enjoyed about it too, that there was somebody that really cared about them. I was demanding, but I loved them, every one of them, and that's the part I miss, and and I really do. But I don't miss that grind, because it takes its toll. It takes its toll.
Coach, can't appreciate you enough here. Thanks for giving us more than an hour on a Sunday right before we're getting into the season. So fired up. Want to give you one last opportunity here. Any shout outs or anything that you want to mention prior to taking us home and into Vanderbilt here on Saturday?
Well, I'm looking forward to this season. I really am. There's as much excitement about this season as there has been in a long time. And I'm a fan. I'm a great fan of college football. I want Virginia Tech and to get back to the days that we had that they'd never seen before, but we're capable of getting back there. And Coach Pry is the guy that's going to do it. I can tell you that. And we just need to get behind him and need to fill that place up. We've done a great job. We need to be the 12th man when we're at home. And I know when we travel, we're going to travel well. I know there's going to be a great crowd in Nashville, but we need to get behind these boys and this team and do it from the opening kickoff to the final whistle and be behind them 100%. But because they're going to play hard and they're going to give their all, and we just need to do our part as well. But I'm really excited about it. Thank you guys. You guys are great ambassadors for the program and the university. But can't thank you guys enough for having me on the show, and look forward to seeing you all in Nashville.
Thanks, Coach. Look forward to seeing you next week.
Can't wait, Coach. We'll see you soon.
All right, guys. Go Hokies.
Go Hokies.